I'm here to say that we need 100% renewables now, and this mobilisation is to say loud and clear to the government and to the worldwide leaders, the 1%, that this is the people talking, this is a mass movement.
All these people have come together to say to all the leaders of the world who are meeting in Paris that you have to do something about climate change.
Leaders in Paris must commit to keeping global warming below 2 degrees. If not, we face an environment far outside the range ever experienced by humanity.
It's about the future of the planet and the world that our children and their children will inherit. If they don't make that decision about stopping it going above 2 degrees, it's catastrophe.
Tell me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like!
This year is the hottest year ever, hotter than last year, which was the previous hottest year ever.
I'm here for my future. I mean, for the future of the ones yet to be born. And I want to stand in solidarity with them, and I want to stand here in solidarity with my Earth Mother.
Our Great Barrier Reef, one of the great treasures of this country. To think that if we keep polluting for another decade or two, we will lose that asset. The barrier reef will be dead.
The corporations are sending the planet and the human species into extinction.
It's being destroyed by greed and by corruption and by politics, and we need to put a stop to it.
At the moment they're talking about it won't be 2 degrees, it'll be 2.7 degrees. You just won't be living the way we live. You'll be sheltering from the sun the whole time and sheltering from storms and cyclones.
Everyone is asking for respect for the planet, respect for all that lives on this planet and is dependent on this planet.
We're mining too much, we're using too much water, we're knocking down forests to build new coal mines, and we're positing nuclear as a solution when it really isn't.
What we really need is we need the government to accede to the demands of 100% renewables now. We need clean energy, that's wind and solar, it's not nuclear.
Well, I suppose I'm not a scientist, but I can only see that coal is bad for humanity, despite what some people say. Solar is one of the things, renewable energies, fantastic.
People are now saying we don't want those big corporations polluting any longer. We don't need those big mining companies to do stuff that destroys us. We want to stop this, and so that's why I'm here. I'm here for system change, for an end to capitalism that bully all of us.
There is no planet B. This is the only Earth we've got, and if we don't stop the way we are going, it's going to be destroyed within 100 years.
Tell me what democracy looks like!
Let's keep pushing on. Let's today pledge to each other that this won't be the last time we meet to demand action. We can't afford to take a step backward. We need to take many, many steps forward.
Secretary of State Rex Tillerson wouldn't answer the question.
Very soon.
And the president tweeted he'll be making his decision on the Paris Climate Agreement over the next few days. But administration officials say the president is expected to end U.S. participation, a decision that flies in the face of last-minute appeals from U.S. allies and scientists from around the world.
I think the president's comments on this, that he'll be making a decision in the next few days, stand.
The president's move to pull out of the climate deal would fulfill a campaign promise.
We will cancel this deal so that our companies can compete.
But the decision also runs counter to advice coming from his own daughter, Ivanka, who supported staying in the agreement. An administration official said Ivanka created a process to ensure the president heard from people on all sides of the issue, both inside and outside government. Yet White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer could not say whether the president believed human activity contributed to climate change. The president has repeatedly called climate change a hoax.
Can you say whether or not the president believes that human activity is contributing to the warming of the climate?
Honestly, I haven't asked him.
Canceling the Paris Agreement is sure to excite conservatives, dealing a blow to the legacy of Barack Obama.
Today is a historic day in the fight to protect our planet for future generations.
Democrats are furious. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi said in a statement, in walking away from this agreement, the president is denying scientific truths. Even some Republicans have their doubts.
If he does withdraw, that would be a definitive statement by the president that he believes climate change is a hoax. Stay in the deal, make it a better deal would be my advice.
Still, the president was signaling for some time he was pulling out of the Paris deal, telling French President Emmanuel Macron over the weekend, a lot of people in my country are against this agreement.
Chancellor Merkel, thank you very much.
The move to scrap the Paris Agreement will further isolate the president from some of the same allies that he irritated at times during his foreign trip. Even as the president is said to be feeling increasingly withdrawn at home, he has been seeking closer ties to other foreign leaders, asking Macron of France to exchange phone numbers. You want my cell phone so we can speak directly to each other? An offer to swap digits.
The Paris Agreement is adopted.
Weather, drought, floods, those are things that we can't turn our back on.
There is a complete absence of a plan to get us to 1.5.
It requires all countries to cut their greenhouse gas emissions by the second half of this century.
When I say indigenous, you say right! Right!
Build a safer future for everyone if we go 100% renewable energy.
All eyes are on us!
New York liberals. Let me just give you a little background here from Zero Hedge, and then we're going to get into the guts of the matter. Now, I've heard others say that if Trump flip-flops and starts saying that global warming is a real threat to humanity, it's game over. As Zero Hedge is reporting, the global warming activist Democrats in Trump's White House, led by Ivanka and Jared Kushner, are trying to convince the president to renege on yet another campaign pledge against the advice of Steve Bannon. According to Bloomberg, a pro-Paris bloc in his administration, which targets greenhouse emissions, is recruiting energy companies to lobby the president to remain in the controversial agreement that he specifically said was a waste of money during the campaign. He also said it was bad for America.
I am skeptical of international unions that tie us up and bring America down. And under my administration, we will never enter America into any agreement that reduces our ability to control our own affairs.
Now, I want to remind everybody that the Paris Agreement, formed under Obama, commits America to cut emissions by 26% by 2025. Let me tell you what that means to you. If the powers that be enforce that hardcore rule and do not release new forms of energy for the American people, we will soon find ourselves deeply in a state of serfdom. And don't think it's not purposefully being done. The UN Agenda 2030 policies are by design meant to remove your access to affordable energy. Labeled fossil fuels, these energies, coal, oil, and other forms of energy on which we've relied for the last 100 years, will be done away with under the guise of saving the planet. And if you think that's the end of it, it gets far worse between 2030 and 2050. According to Bill Gates and his 2010 TED Talk, Innovating to Zero, his vision is to cut carbon emissions globally to zero by 2050.
I asked the top scientists on this several times, do we really have to get down to near zero? Can't we just, cut it in half or a quarter? And the answer is that until we get near to zero, the temperature will continue to rise. And so that's a big challenge. It's very different than saying, we're a 12-foot high truck trying to get under a 10-foot bridge and we can just sort of squeeze under. This is something that has to get to zero.
Now, what that literally means to us as human beings is this. If they do not release black budget, off-book, secret technologies to replace our old forms of energy, and they quote-unquote innovate to zero, we will be living as serfs. You will not be able to burn coal. You will not be able to use oil. You will not have access to natural gas. You will not be able to heat your home.
Ladies and gentlemen, the origins of the environmental movement as we see it began back in 1968 when the Club of Rome was formed. The Club of Rome has been described as a crisis think tank which specialises in crisis creation. The main purpose of this think tank was to formulate a crisis that would unite the world and condition us to the idea of global solutions to local problems. In a document called The First Global Revolution, authored by Alexander King and Bertrand Schneider, on pages 104 and 105, it stated, "In searching for a new enemy to unite us, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine and the like would fit the bill. All these dangers, of course, will be caused by human intervention that will require a global response."
And I want to quote a commenter in the Zero Hedge comments section, Runnymede, who said this at 4:49 p.m. today, April 19th, and I quote, "Global warming remediation measures in tandem with fiat money are the ultimate control mechanisms for the globalist central planner psychopaths. There will be no private activity that is not regulated, or private property. As soon as anyone mentions global warming or climate change, they have self-identified as your enemy. If Trump goes anywhere near this, his journey to the dark side will be complete." And I think that's actually very well said, because those of us who are awake and informed are very well aware of the UN Agenda 2030 policies to strip you of your property rights and to ensnare you in their globalist climate change policies that will make current forms of energy unaffordable and inaccessible. Now, incidentally, it's also being reported that because of Paul Ryan's recent speech praising the TTIP, there seems to be a slight chance that Trump might also flip his opinion on the TTP and the TTIP, both of which he said were very bad for Americans. But at this point, it's beginning to look like anything is possible, and I'll leave you with this. As it pertains to global censorship of truth, like the truth I just shared with you, it seems that the Orwellian boot stomping on the face of humanity is only getting worse. I received this YouTube message yesterday, April 18th, regarding your account, sgtreport.com. We have received a legal complaint regarding your video from the government. After review, the following video, Pedogate, Hampstead Uncovered, has been blocked from view on the following YouTube country sites. United Kingdom. YouTube blocks content where necessary to comply with local laws. Please review our Help Center article on legal complaints. Sincerely, the YouTube team. Now, just so everyone understands, Hampstead Uncovered features an interview with Ella Draper, the mother of the 2 children said to have been abused in a satanic ritual abuse pedophile ring in the UK.
I know there's been no investigation, there's been no proper police statement taken from this woman because of the way she's been harassed. I also know that we have child abuse in this country to epidemic levels.
She was demonized and drummed out of the country by a weaponized mainstream media who targeted her and called her a liar who coaxed her kids into the most dramatic testimony anyone's just about ever seen about this type of abuse.
As a former police officer of 20 years, I had the opportunity of actually sitting with a mother in this case for 3 hours. I can absolutely tell you with my experience of interrogation over a 20-year period, as a former detective sergeant, she was speaking 110% truth.
Nor did they do any investigation into the testimony provided by those children about the tattoos and birthmarks on those that